G'day geeks, my name is Chris and in this video we are talking about two cowboys. So very happy to have the Marshall, which is based on a familiar 80s cartoon, and Rio Blast, which is also based on a very familiar 80s cartoon. So these arrived at the same day. Thought I'd do a video about them. So let's talk about these two cowboys. Couple of cool cowboys. So on the left we have the Marshall figure from Ramen toy, who is inspired by the Bravestarr cartoon from the 1980s. You may remember that short-lived sci-fi inspired westerny kind of cartoon with some awesome action figures back in the day. And obviously on the right we have another cowboy with a wonderful handlebar mustache and guns coming out from all over his body, Rio Blast from the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon and line of action figures as well. So this is the Mattel Origins reinterpretation, I guess, of their classic figures. So this is an old figure made new, and this is a Mattel Creations exclusive as well. So both of these arrived, as I said, on the same day, and they're kind of thematically linked in that they're, you know, wild and cool gunslingers with some browns and blues in their costume, and they both hail from the 80s and updated for today. So hey, makes for a good video. So let's get these cowboys out of their cases and have a bit of a closer look. First up, let's have a look at Rio Blast, and he comes in the usual brown cardboard Mattel Creations packaging, which is pretty cool. Very simple but nice designed, and it kind of tells you or shows you a bit about what's inside, which is the figure and his familiar backpack. And this is actually collector friendly packaging, so you can kind of take him out of the packaging with the removable slipcase there and just put it back in once you're done with it. So all the accessories and the little comic are inside, and as always some absolutely gorgeous Masters of the Universe inspired art on the back, showing the figure in a dynamic pose against Modulok, who's on his way to me soon, and Grizzlaw. So yes, there's Rio Blast in action. But yeah, this collector friendly packaging is pretty cool. I do like it, the fact that you can just take that out, take him out and then put him back once you're done with it. Like with all of the Mattel Creations exclusives, I do recommend you keep the packaging, because as I said, it is collector friendly display packaging, so you can keep the backing and the plastic bubble that he comes in and put them all back together and then just display him on your shelf. But obviously if you don't want to do that, you can throw away all this stuff. So this is the figure, this is the little backpack that goes on the little things on the back, little grooves, and like all of the He-Man figures, he also comes with a comic and some instructions as well. So this is pretty interesting. So even though he's got all of his guns that pop out, he still has some swappable parts. So this actually shows you how to assemble the backpack. It's pretty self-explanatory anyway, especially if you had the one as a kid, and you can actually take him apart like you can do with most of the Origins figures. So if you want to give He-Man different legs or whatever, you can certainly do that, and his head comes out as well. What a handsome fella. So yes, Rio Blast is one of those very odd Masters of the Universe characters. He didn't really appear in the animated series in the cartoon back in the 80s, but yes, towards the tail end of the line he certainly did appear, and was one of my favourites. So he's basically a cyborg cowboy, I guess, with a cool Magnum PI mustache and sweeping hair and piercing blue eyes. So very, very similar to his vintage counterpart. In fact, I do have his vintage counterpart. So this isn't the one I had as a kid, but this is the original 80s one, and you can see how similar they are with all the costume choices. And this one doesn't have the wrist guns, and he doesn't have the backpack either. But yeah, pretty similar for sure. Like very, very similar indeed. The browns and the blues and all those colours are there. It's interesting that the pipe, which is just sculpted on the vintage figure here, they've actually made it into actual pipes that go around his body. So not just sculpted, but actually an additional part of the body as well. You will notice that these actually pop out. There's little holes there, but they do pop out quite frequently. But yes, very similar indeed, pretty similar for sure, and a lot of the details are kind of sculpted, like the hands, the boots, everything is very, very similar. The belt, the straps on the back, little sash thing, this sheriff star, all of that very similar indeed. But yes, let's have a closer look at this new version. Rio Blast is the man of 1,000 guns, well maybe not 1,000 but quite a few. So as I said, he's a cybernetic cyborg cowboy, and his action feature or play feature is that he has guns that pop out everywhere on his body. So he's got a couple on the wrists there, he's got a couple on the thighs. What's interesting about the thigh guns, they don't really shoot, they're not high enough to shoot above the actual leather covers there, which is interesting. He's got a huge one in the chest, and I love all the detail inside the chest cavity there. And then this one, which is the backpack that goes on his back, just flips over and over his head. And yeah, he's got a little visor kind of thing there as well. So look at that, guns everywhere. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess, but a couple of them are double barrel. But yeah, how awesome is that? Just a cowboy with guns popping out all over the place. The original had the same feature, but my version is busted. Most of the vintage Rio Blasts are like this. They don't have all their guns, so obviously he's missing the ones on his wrist, and he's missing the backpack. But very similar indeed. So yeah, pretty cool. So that he just has guns that pop out all over the place. Don't know how he walks. Looks pretty heavy, but Rio Blast is up for the task. Bravestarr was a animated series, the last of the animated series from famed cartoon studio Filmation, actually. So it ran from 1987 to 1988, a total of 65 episodes. Had some amazing toys, as it has a lot of other Filmation shows, such as the real Ghostbusters and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe did. The Bravestarr toys are, well, they're pretty expensive and they're pretty big, but like all things 80s, they're kind of coming back in a big way. So they haven't really been developed since. It's kind of flown under the radar over all these years, but much loved. So Ramen Toy have released their figure called the Marshal, who is basically a nod of the Filmation TV series with the wonderful animated intro that all the 80s cartoons had. So yeah, let's have a bit of a look at the Marshal figure here from Ramen Toy, an unofficial, unlicensed nod, a rather big nod to the Bravestarr figures from the 80s. This is for certainly deluxe packaging with a wonderful window box, and it shows you all the goodies inside. So let's check out the Marshal. Ramen Toy are relatively new to the toy scene. They've been out for a few years and relatively small, but they have just been making some amazing stuff. I think the first thing I saw of them do was the Masters of the Universe action figure stands, which are pretty awesome. They've got the kind of rock bases, and then they've been making a lot of 80s properties since then. So definitely check out Ramen Toy's website. I know Big Bad Toy Store sells a lot of their stuff. They've made figures that are a nod to Kenner's Mask figures, as well as Kenner's Centurions, also from the 80s, and this is their first of hopefully a rather long and successful line based on the Bravestarr figures, as I said. So the logo is very similar to the Bravestarr TV show. It's got the wonderful packaging with the art by Ken Coleman. Check out his website, and that basically shows all the different powers that Marshal Bravestarr has. Art all the way around. I just love that, showing all the different weapons and stuff that he has. I believe there was also a deluxe version of this that came with the rifle and perhaps a few other things, but this is a pretty wonderful packaging, very sturdy and very nice kind of finish on this packaging as well. Like very, very collector friendly packaging. But enough of all the goodies on the outside. Let's have a look at all the pretty stuff on the inside. As if the packaging wasn't pretty enough, it's also very functional. It's actually got two magnetic clasps which have that wonderful safety kind of lock. Listen to that, I just love that. It's quite strong as well. So yes, two magnets So it's basically reinforced and very strong clasps on the inside of the box there. So once you open that up, this is all the stuff contained within. Let's remove that. And again, it's got a lovely backdrop which you can put on the back of your shelf for display purposes. Another wonderful atmospheric piece from Ken Coleman. So there's the packaging, there's the inside backing, and here's the layers of Marshall goodness. Once the packaging is removed, it's got all protective stuff as well in front and behind of the figure. Comes with a bunch of hands, vest, little axe, gun and holster, the actual figure itself with a cool cloak thing, an extra head and a couple of hats, as well as a star shaped shield. I mean, he looks pretty awesome, doesn't he? And I'm sure he's very poseable as well. Here is the Marshall from Ramen Toy, and doesn't he look awesome? So yes, very much an update to the classic 80s action figure, and as I said, he comes with a bunch of stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hands plus the 2 on him, so relaxed hands, fists and gun hands. He's got a couple of different hats, so we've got this little one with the little visor and microphone, and just his normal familiar hat, which is a mix of, you know, western and sci-fi elements. It comes with an axe, which just is a wonderful silver metallic kind of finish, and that just fits in to one of the ports on his legs. It's got a vest, which is this wonderful rubber material, and that just fits over as well. Again, with sci-fi kind of elements. It's a piping and techno stuff everywhere. Another alternate head with a wonderful little ponytail there. His gun, little holster, sidearm, again very similar to the 80s one. Wonderful silver sheen, and that's just got a little plug to fit in his leg. Little shield, wonderful translucent yellow plastic, look at that. And yeah, as I said, a bunch of hands and a poncho that is removable. It's got a couple of peg holes as well at the bottom of his detailed feet, and just the colours, the oranges and the yellows and the blues and the browns, very detailed indeed. Yeah, I love it. I mean, he's just so updated and so modern. Let's throw some light in here actually, just to get a bit of a better picture, but those colours are so vibrant, and he's certainly got detail all the way around. And yeah, the poncho, as I said, will just come off, and he's got all the stuff underneath the belt. It all looks very familiar, but definitely a worthy update. Certainly a very detailed figure and very poseable as well, some wonderful articulation, and just look at all the details on the armour and the boots and all that kind of stuff. These rubber overlays don't get in the way, so he's obviously quite padded and quite armoured up, knee pads and all that kind of stuff. Holster is a wonderful belt, and yeah, very poseable indeed. Head comes off, the waist comes off as well, and the belt comes off if you so desire, and that way you can just basically just mix and match with all the different accessories that he comes with. And let's try and put this back on properly. There we go. And so yes, if you want to throw another head in, you certainly can, and all the heads and the hats come wrapped up very well in the package as well. And yeah, I love that face, a bit of a smirk. Yeah, it's very well made, I must say, very well engineered, very articulated. It's got the shield, the armor, all that kind of stuff we know and love. And yeah, this guy is going to be able to get into some good poses for sure. Look at that. Yes. Very poseable, very flexible, and I hope they make more from this line, particular 3030. Everyone is hoping, the big horse that was his friend with a big massive laser cannon. I certainly had him, and I had Bravestarr as a kid, and we'll show you some comparisons later with the 80s Bravestarr figure. But yes, this with all the accessories, you can certainly give him a lot of very, very different looks. Marshall waving hello at us there. Yeah, I'm very, very happy with this figure. He's very detailed, very well made, very much a modern update of a classic 80s property from Bravestarr. So yes, my first purchase from Ramen Toy. ton of accessories. I just love that the gun and the axe come in this lovely pearlescent shine, very reminiscent of the 80s ones. The two different hats, the lovely translucent shield, the different heads. I've got the smiling head on him at the moment, but there's the more serious one. Lovely ponytail, and the poncho and the vests and the belt are lovely pliable material with a couple of clips on the back, so easy to remove and give him different looks. And the same with the hands. And the hands are very pliable indeed, such as the trigger fingers. It's probably going to be a bit hard to show on camera, but these are definitely a very pliable kind of material, so it's easy to put the gun and the little hand axe in his hand. So I'm very happy with this wonderful the Marshall figure from Ramen Toy. Here is the original and much bigger Marshall Bravestarr figure from the 80s compared to the one from Ramen Toy, and you can see that the colours and design aesthetics are very similar, with the whites and the browns and the blues, white gloves, brown and blues on the bottom, all that kind of stuff. So yes, quite similar. And all the hats and all that kind of stuff. Obviously the Ramen Toy one comes with a lot more different accessories, but yes, pretty similar. And the older one is much larger in scale. And he also comes with the cool action feature, so he's got a button at the back. Just press that and he can draw his rifle there, but he's also got his little side arm, which you'll realise looks very similar to the one from Ramen Toy. So very similar, just done in a different kind of sheen. So yeah, pretty similar, pretty cool. And as I said, a lot of different costuming and customizing options with the new one from Ramen Toy, with the poncho and the different vests and all that kind of stuff. But it's pretty awesome to see the respect and the level of detail that Ramen Toy have paid to the classic Marshall Bravestarr figure. A side note, just talking about the hat, so the cowboy hats, Stetsons, is that what they're called, that the original figure comes with is a lot tighter, and the newer one is a lot looser, but you can see that it falls off. I mean, it won't fall off when it's standing on his head, but it just kind of when it's just standing up. But the old one is very tight, and unfortunately that kind of leaves the marks around and some scuff around, so there's a bit of paint rub because the tightness of the hat, which the new one doesn't have, because it doesn't fit on as tight, but it stays put. And also a pretty cool discovery if you do have the old hat from the Marshall Bravestarr figure. You know what, Rio Blast doesn't come with a hat, but he looks pretty good with this one on. So there we go, we've got the Marshall from Ramen Toy and Mattel Creations Rio Blast, both updates from the classic figures based on the 80s cartoons in the background there. And just since we're on a cowboy theme, I thought I'd throw the Bluegrass from Super 7, toy manufacturer Super 7, from the classic 80s cartoon Silverhawk. So we've got a bunch of cowboys in here, but yes, very happy, especially with the Rio Blast, one of my favourite figures, and the Marshall is just a wonderful updated figure from the Bravestarr TV series. So very happy with this cowboy centric haul. Yeehaw!